After the Battle of Maritza in 1371, which saw the death of King Vukasin of Serbia, Prince Lazar became the strongest of the Serbian princes and started to regroup the strength of his kingdom against the Ottomans. In 1381, a Ottoman raiding party raided deep into Serbian territory, and Lazar responded by sending his personal army to the small town of Perichin. The Ottoman raiding party encountered the Serbian army near the city, and the battle began. The Battle of Dubrovnika was a Serbian victory which gave Lazar's kingdom much needed morale against the Ottomans after many decades of defeats. The Bulgarians had been resisting Ottoman expansion in the Balkans ever since the reign of Orhan Gazi, but during the 1370s they entered negotiations with the Turks. Ivan Alexander of Bulgaria offered his daughter Karatamura as a bride to Murad to guarantee Bulgarian sovereignty. After the death of Ivan Alexander in 1371, the new kings of Bulgaria, Ivan Shishman and Ivan Stratsner, started talking about forming a Christian coalition against the Ottomans. Murad, learning about this, started a military campaign against Bulgaria. In 1382, a Ottoman army led by Lala Shahin Pasha started laying siege to the Bulgarian city of Sofia. The goal of the siege was to break off the Bulgarians off from the Serbian princes to the west. After a couple months, the Bulgarians surrendered the city, and Ivan Shishman of Bulgaria became a vassal to Murad. Ottoman success continued in the far west, where Ottoman Grand Vizier Jandarlı Halit Pasha the Elder marched on Albania with a combined force of 40,000 men in 1385. The Lord of Zeta Balsa II and other Albanian and Serbian lords clashed with Jandarlı Halit Pasha during the Battle of Savara. The battle would be an Ottoman victory which would see Balsa die in battle. After the battle, most of the local Serbian and Albanian lords became Ottoman vassals. In 1385, another Ottoman raiding party decided to go into Serbia, with Lala Shahin Pasha commanding the 20,000-strong Ottoman host. Lazar once again gathered his troops, and this time the Serbians caught the Ottomans off guard during the Battle of Plotnik, and won a huge victory against the Ottomans. Heavy Serbian cavalry decimated the lightly armored Ottoman horse archers during the battle, and Lala Shahin Pasha barely survived with his life. Prince Lazar successfully defended his kingdom twice and began to become a hero in the eyes of his people. After all these setbacks, Murad decided to go on campaign against the Serbians in 1386 and captured the major city of Niš from Lazar. Murad decided to head back to Edirne after capturing the city, but upon arriving at the capital, he got news that the Karaman Turks were once again raiding into his lands back in Anatolia. Murad gathered his troops once more and marched on the Karaman Turks. The Karaman Bey Alaaddin Ali met Murad near the Karaman capital of Konya during the Battle of Frankiyazar. The battle would be a decisive Ottoman victory which would show the efficiency of the Ottoman army compared to tribal forces of the Karamids. After the battle, Murad laid siege to the Karaman capital of Konya. Murad's daughter Nefise, who was married to Alaaddin Ali, convinced Murad to forgive his husband for his betrayal and asked for forgiveness. Murad forgave Alaaddin Ali and left Konya listening to his daughter. Murad on his way back to Edirne would occupy the beyliks of Tekke and the Hamids to maintain Ottoman presence in Anatolia. Serbian vassal troops fought along with the Ottomans during the siege of Konya, but they felt belittled during this battle by Murad, so once they returned to Serbia, they rebelled against the Ottomans for their independence. They turned to Prince Lazar for assistance in the fight against the Ottomans. When Sultan Murad returned to Edirne, he started planning his new campaign against Prince Lazar. First, he finished the siege of Thessalonica, which was under siege for 2 years, and ordered Lala Shahin Pasha to lead an army into Zeta to help a loyal Serbian prince, Durat II, against the Bosnian king Trevko I, who was allied with Prince Lazar. Lala Shahin Pasha would lead his army against the Bosnian army during the Battle of Belikia. The battle would be a disaster for the Ottomans, which resulted in the destruction of Lala Shahin Pasha's army. The Ottoman defeat made Prince Murad and other Albanian princes more willing to come to terms about joining Prince Lazar's coalition against the Ottomans. The vassalized Bulgarians were also planning to join Prince Lazar's coalition against the Ottomans, but in 1388, a 30,000-strong Ottoman army commanded by Ali Pasha passed through the Eastern Balkan mountains and struck deep into Bulgaria. Due to the surprise campaign, at first the towns and castles were unable to organize proper defenses, which saw many towns fall to the Ottomans. The Bulgarians, being cut from Lazar, were no longer a threat to the Ottomans to the north, so Murad turned west to face off Lazar for once and for all. Sultan Murad would camp his forces in the city of Plovdiv, where he would be joined by his two sons, Shehzade Yaqub and Shehzade Bayezid. From the north, Murad was joined by Ali Pasha, who had returned from his Bulgarian campaign. The Ottoman army numbered around 27,000 to 40,000 men, 2,000 of which were Murad's personal elite Janissary guard. In addition, a couple thousand Serbian troops joined the army who were still loyal to Murad. After preparing his forces in Plovdiv, Murad marched on Serbia. Prince Lazar's army numbered around 12,000 to 30,000 men. He was assisted by Vlato Vukovic, the Bosnian general who had defeated Lala Shahin Pasha a year earlier at the Battle of Bilikia. Also present were the Knights Hospitaller, led by the Croatian knight Jana Palisena. Lazar was also joined by the nobleman Vuk Brankovic, who was the Serbian ruler down south to Lazar's kingdom. After setting up his army, Lazar awaited Murad on the Kosovo field during the hot summer of 1389. The Battle of Kosovo was a bloodbath for the Ottomans and for the Serbians. Fighting was brutal and lasted the entire day. It was a stalemate for much of the battle until the Serbians pushed back the Ottoman left flank where Shehzade Yaqub was holding. But at the same time, Shehzade Bayezid, who was commanding the Ottoman right flank, had broken through Serbian lines on his side. Then, an event that would change Serbian history forever happened. One of Lazar's noblemen, Vuk Brankovic, who was pushing the Ottoman left flank, suddenly left the battlefield with the remainder of his troops. Some sources differ on the reason why Vuk Brankovic left the battle, but nevertheless, the Serbian army under Lazar was starting to crumble. Sultan Murad, who was commanding the Ottoman center, seeing this, sent out his elite Janissary guards to finish off the Serbians. The Serbian left and right flanks were crushed, and King Lazar, who was commanding the Serbian center, was surrounded by Ottoman troops by Bayezid. King Lazar, the Serbian king who had defied the Ottomans for more than 2 decades, died fighting on the Kosovo field. During the huge panic, the Ottoman army pushed too far ahead of Sultan Murad, and only a couple of his bodyguards were with him. A Serbian soldier named Milos Oblic pretended to defect to Murad's side and was summoned to the Sultan's tent. Seconds later, after entering the tent, Milos Oblic lunged towards Murad, stabbing him fatally in the chest. The few Ottoman guards pushed into the Sultan's tent and killed Oblic, but it was too late. Murad, aged 62, was killed after 27 years of ruling the Ottoman kingdom. The Christian world welcomed Murad's death. Sultan Murad I would be the first and only Ottoman sultan to be killed in battle. Murad was a pious Muslim ruler which transformed the Ottomans into a major power in the Balkans and Anatolia. He was the first Ottoman ruler to use the title Sultan. During his reign, the Ottomans established its first 2 provinces, one in the Balkans and one in Anatolia. The Grand Vizier of the Ottoman Kingdom, Jandarlı Halid Pasha, created the idea that would become the Devshirme system, which would create the infamous Janissary Corps. The Ottoman state transformed under Murad, in which he organized the government by creating the Divan, which was an imperial council made out of ministers, governors, and generals. This helped him rule the Ottoman state more efficiently. The news that the Sultan, who had proved himself unbeatable in battle, was a danger no more, and it raised a wave of joy all around Europe. But a new threat awaited Europe after Murad's death. The reign of the Thunderbolt had just begun.